Garden centers are telling you lies that cost hundreds of dollars every year, and most gardeners believe them without question. These aren't just marketing exaggerations. They're deliberate misinformation designed to sell products you don't need and plants that won't survive. Today, we're exposing the biggest lies that garden centers tell and revealing the truth that will save you serious money. Here's what makes these lies so effective. They're told by people wearing aprons in garden centers, so you assume they're experts giving honest advice. The reality is, most garden center employees are trained to sell products, not to help your garden succeed. Their job is moving inventory, and the advice they give reflects that priority. The average gardener loses $300 to $500 per year believing garden center lies. They buy plants that aren't hardy in their zone, products that don't work, and follow advice that guarantees failure. But when you know the truth behind these lies, you'll make better decisions, save money, and actually succeed with your garden. The first lie is, this plant is easy to grow and perfect for beginners, and this is often completely false. Garden centers label plants as easy or beginner-friendly based on how well they sell, not how easy they actually are to grow. Many so-called easy plants have specific requirements that beginners don't know about. When the plant dies, beginners blame themselves instead of recognizing they were sold an inappropriate plant. Here's the truth. Plant difficulty depends entirely on your specific conditions. A plant that's easy in one climate or soil type might be impossible in another. Lavender is easy in hot, dry climates with alkaline soil, but nearly impossible in humid climates with acidic soil. Garden centers ignore these details because they want to sell plants, regardless of whether they'll survive. The signs of this lie are everywhere. Plants labeled easy that require full sun are sold to customers with shady yards. Acid-loving plants are recommended for alkaline soil areas. Zone 8 plants are sold in Zone 5 locations with assurances they'll be fine with a little protection. These recommendations guarantee failure and repeat purchases. The real solution is researching plants before buying. Check hardiness zones, light requirements, soil preferences, and water needs. Match plants to your actual conditions instead of believing generic, easy-to-grow claims. Plants that match your conditions truly are easy. Everything else is a struggle regardless of what the label says. The second lie is, you need to fertilize every 2 weeks for best results. And this creates dependency on products you don't need. Garden centers sell fertilizer, so they recommend frequent fertilization, regardless of whether your soil needs it. The truth is, most established gardens need minimal fertilization if soil health is maintained. Over-fertilization creates more problems than under-fertilization, weak growth, pest attraction, and environmental damage. Here's what they don't tell you. Soil testing reveals what your soil actually needs. Many soils have adequate or excessive nutrients from years of fertilizer applications. Adding more fertilizer doesn't help and can create nutrient imbalances that harm plants. But garden centers never suggest soil testing because it would reduce fertilizer sales. The cost of unnecessary fertilization adds up quickly. Fertilizing every 2 weeks, as recommended, costs $100 to $200 per year for a typical garden. Most of that money is wasted on nutrients your soil already has, or that leach away before plants can use them. The truth is, healthy soil with adequate organic matter provides steady nutrition without frequent fertilizer applications. Adding compost annually and using organic mulches that break down gradually creates self-sustaining fertility. Most gardens need supplemental fertilization only once or twice per year, if at all. The third lie is, these plants are the same, just buy the cheaper one. when comparing similar-looking plants of different varieties. Garden centers often stock multiple varieties of the same plant species at different prices. When customers ask about the difference, employees frequently claim they're essentially the same to move cheaper inventory. This lie costs you money when the cheaper variety doesn't have the disease resistance, hardiness, or performance characteristics of the better variety. Here's the reality. Plant breeding has created varieties with dramatically different characteristics. Two tomato plants might look identical, but one has resistance to 5 major diseases, while the other has none. One rose variety might be winter hardy to zone 4, while a similar-looking variety only survives to zone 6. These differences determine success or failure. The cost of buying inferior varieties is substantial. A $3 tomato plant without disease resistance dies mid-season, wasting the plant cost plus months of care and the lost harvest. A $5 disease-resistant variety produces all season, providing $50 to $100 worth of tomatoes. The extra $2 is the best investment you can make. The solution is researching specific varieties before shopping. Know which disease resistances matter in your area. Understand which varieties are proven performers versus new introductions with unknown track records. Don't let garden centre employees convince you that all varieties are interchangeable. They're not. Before we expose the remaining lies that are costing you hundreds of dollars, make sure you subscribe to this channel. These truths about the garden industry are based on decades of experience and scientific research. There's much more coming that will transform you from a garden centre victim into an informed buyer who gets real value. The fourth lie is you can plant this anytime when selling plants that have specific planting windows for success. Garden centres want to sell plants whenever customers are shopping, regardless of whether it's the right time to plant. They'll sell tomatoes in July, trees in August, and spring bulbs in June. All terrible timing that guarantees poor results or complete failure. When plants die, they blame your care instead of their bad advice. Here's the truth about planting times. Most plants have optimal planting windows when they establish quickly with minimal stress. Trees and shrubs plant best in fall or early spring when temperatures are moderate and rainfall is adequate. Tomatoes need to be planted, after all. Frost danger passes, but early enough to mature before fall. Bulbs must be planted in fall for spring bloom. The cost of wrong timing planting is enormous. A $30 shrub planted in August heat struggles all season, requires constant watering, and often dies over winter. That same shrub, planted in October, establishes easily, needs minimal care, and thrives. You waste $30 plus months of effort by planting at the wrong time. The solution is learning correct planting times for your climate and sticking to them regardless of what garden centres have in stock. If they're selling tomatoes in July, that's their inventory problem, not your planting opportunity. Wait for appropriate times and buy from sources that stock plants when they should actually be planted. The fifth lie is, this potting soil is perfect for all plants, when different plants need dramatically different growing media. Garden centres stock 1 or 2 types of potting soil and claim they work for everything. This is false. Cacti need fast-draining soil with minimal organic matter. Orchids need bark-based media with excellent aeration. African violets need light, fluffy soil that stays evenly moist. Using all-purpose potting soil for these plants guarantees failure. Here's what they're hiding. Specialty potting mixes exist because different plants have different requirements. All-purpose potting soil is designed for common houseplants and annuals. It's too moisture-retentive for succulents, not airy enough for orchids, and wrong for acid-loving plants. Using the wrong media is like feeding dog food to cats. It might keep them alive, but they won't thrive. The cost of wrong potting soil includes dead plants and wasted time. A $15 orchid dies in regular potting soil that stays too wet. Replacing the orchid costs another $15. Proper orchid bark costs $8 and keeps orchids alive for years. The specialized media is actually cheaper long term. The truth is, matching potting media to plant requirements is essential for success. Cacti and succulents need cactus mix with extra drainage. Orchids need bark or specialized orchid media. Acid-loving plants need acidic potting soil. Spending a few extra dollars on appropriate media prevents plant losses that cost far more. The sixth lie is, these plants are locally grown, when they're actually shipped from industrial nurseries hundreds or thousands of miles away. Garden centers use locally grown as a selling point because customers prefer supporting local businesses and assume local plants are better adapted to local conditions. The reality is, most garden center plants come from massive wholesale nurseries in different climate zones. They're not adapted to your conditions and often struggle after planting. Here's the deception. A plant might be finished at a local greenhouse for a few weeks before sale, allowing the garden center to claim it's locally grown. But the plant was actually propagated and grown for months or years in Florida, California, or Oregon before being shipped to your area. It has no adaptation to your climate. The cost of non-adapted plants is substantial. Plants grown in mild climates and shipped to cold zones often lack the hardiness to survive harsh winters. They might look great at purchase, but die during their first winter. You waste the purchase price plus the time and effort of planting and caring for them. The solution is finding truly local growers who propagate and grow plants in your climate zone. These plants are genuinely adapted to local conditions and establish faster with better survival rates. They cost the same or less than garden center plants, but perform dramatically better because they're already acclimated. The seventh lie is this plant is deer resistant, when very few plants are truly safe from deer damage. Garden centers label plants as deer resistant to sell them to customers with deer problems. The truth is, deer will eat almost anything when they're hungry enough. Plants labeled deer-resistant might be less preferred, but that doesn't mean deer won't eat them. When customers complain about deer damage, garden centers blame unusual deer behavior instead of their misleading labels. Here's the reality. Deer resistance varies by location, season, and deer population density. A plant that deer ignore in one area might be heavily browsed in another. During winter, when food is scarce, deer eat plants they completely ignore in summer. High deer populations eat everything regardless of supposed resistance. The cost of believing deer resistance claims includes destroyed plants and wasted money. You spend $200 on supposedly deer-resistant landscaping. Deer eat everything within weeks. You're left with bare stems and the choice of replacing plants or accepting failure. Either way, you've wasted money based on false claims. The truth is, physical barriers are the only reliable deer protection. Fencing, netting, or individual plant cages actually work. Deer repellents provide temporary protection but require constant reapplication. Plant selection can reduce damage, but no plant is truly deer-proof. Garden centers should be honest about this instead of making false promises. The eighth and final lie is, you need all these products to succeed, when most garden products are unnecessary for healthy plants. Garden centers maximize profit by selling not just plants, but dozens of products: fertilizers, pesticides, soil amendments, growth boosters, and specialty tools. They create the impression that successful gardening requires buying all these products. The truth is, healthy gardens need very few purchased inputs. Here's what they won't tell you. Good soil eliminates the need for most products. Soil with adequate organic matter provides steady nutrition without fertilizers. Healthy plants resist pests and diseases without chemicals. Proper plant selection and placement prevent most problems before they start. The garden industry profits from keeping you dependent on products instead of teaching you to build healthy soil. The cost of unnecessary products is staggering. The average gardener spends $300 to $500 annually on fertilizers, pesticides, and amendments they don't need. Over a decade, that's $3,000 to $5,000 wasted on products that don't improve results and often create new problems. The truth is, investing in soil health eliminates most product needs. Compost, mulch, and organic matter create self-sustaining fertility. Diverse plantings attract beneficial insects that control pests naturally. Proper watering and plant selection prevent disease problems. These fundamental practices cost less and work better than any products garden centers sell. Here's what connects all these lies. They prioritize sales over your success. Garden centers profit when you buy plants that die and need replacing, products that don't work, and follow advice that creates problems requiring more purchases. They're not invested in your long-term success. They're invested in continuous sales. The solution is becoming an educated gardener who verifies information instead of accepting garden center claims. Research before buying, ask specific questions, and demand specific answers. Shop at nurseries that prioritize customer success over quick sales. When you stop believing garden center lies, you'll save $300 to $500 per year on plants that actually survive, products you actually need, and advice that actually works. Your success rate will increase dramatically because you're making informed decisions based on truth instead of sales pitches. Your confidence grows when you understand the real requirements for garden success. You stop blaming yourself for failures that were caused by bad advice and inappropriate plants. You become a knowledgeable gardener who succeeds consistently instead of a frustrated customer who keeps buying solutions to problems that shouldn't exist. These 8 lies cost gardeners hundreds of dollars every year. But now you know the truth that garden centers don't want you to know. If you want to learn how to build the kind of soil that eliminates the need for most garden center products, check out our video on fixing dead soil spending $0. You'll discover how to create garden success without depending on expensive products